remember when Woolen Mills got shut down, I was in like I wasn't in a particularly dark place, but I was like, I had the knowledge that, okay, I'm going to have to figure this out. I'm going to have to find like where fulfillment is, knowing that I can't run a venue anymore, and that like I'm not going to be able to offer what I used to be able to offer to the community. And most importantly, I don't have a home club anymore because this was a place that I ran myself. This is where I was the most comfortable performing and could really like stretch out the most and workshop stuff the most and everything. And I went to see the folk singer Mariee Sioux in Brattleboro, Vermont. And it was a show in this barn that was all like decked out in candles and Christmas lights and stuff. And it was like exactly the atmosphere that I would want in any show that I would play. It was such a great experience. And I just came out of it knowing that there's never a shortage of things that are going to subvert your expectations. And there's never a shortage of things that are going to offer you experiences you didn't know you needed to have or didn't know that you could have. And the traditional tropes of like the DIY music space are not what you need to bring with you. What you need to bring with you is that spaces can be transformed and moments can be shared.
Yeah.
And to always be open to that experience and to always be open to what you'll need to, like what you might be called upon to do in order to cultivate those moments. And what you, like I showed up at this, I was the first one to show up for this show, and the owner of the house was legit like, can you build a fire in the backyard because people are going to start showing up soon and we still need time to set up the sound system? And I was like, yeah, I'll build the fire. Why not? It's just like, okay, this is what it's about. You know, I needed to be retaught this lesson because this is where I am right now. I'm just going to participate in somebody else's cultivation of these moments. And they're happening everywhere you look, but you just need to be receptive to them. And you're not always going to be the one to steward them, but more often than not, you can find them where you're not necessarily looking for them. You just need to be open.
It's nice to end up at a place and be like, oh, I'm needed here. Cool. Okay. We all want to be like, I'm very useful. Who wants to see how useful I am? Check out what I can do.
Yeah.
But then it's nice to go to some place and you need to open a door from somebody and you're like, oh, cool. I could open this door from somebody. I'm useful and I do not even want to be.
Well, and to recognize that you're often a part of somebody else's story and not just your own. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not just the protagonist in your own myth. And I think that's something that I needed to learn, especially at that time.
I mean, I've heard other people say that before. Like, like the Michael character, y'all know him?
Yeah, yeah.
Like the Michael character ran great shows in Quincy for a while, and then they just were done. And I was like, Jimmy, no, how could they? He's like, Brian, everything is in its own era and everything is in its own time. And we could sit and weep over it or be like, well, we did it for however many years they did it. And then they're not. And then we're playing somewhere else. And then another room gets to hear all the fun music we're doing. So it's kind of nice. Yeah. You're sort of a constantly traveling, touring project.
Yeah, I have to say I like that about it because ultimately, you know, how many like warehouse or DIY spaces actually last more than a few years anyway. And then it's time to move on and maybe share the experience with somebody else or share the experience in a different community. You know, this is what I learned is like there are any number of permutations where the same feeling that you get at the best DIY show you've ever been to is possible. And it doesn't even need to be at a show. I think it just needs to be a shared experience in some way. Or I think it just needs to be, it's hard to quantify or qualify. It's just like, you know it when you feel it. So the best thing that you can do is prepare yourself and equip yourself to participate in it when it calls you to.
And to be accepting of the end.
I'm sorry.
You know, just to kind of like all those scenes, they are so short-lived in a weird way. Like they only last a few years, and it's not like a venue where it can way overstay its welcome if the real estate's cheap or something. Like there's something cool about like a community that really is able to access that zeitgeist, whatever it might be, because they grow more rapidly, you know, and there's a unity. But like if it's successful and if everybody is growing the way that you should in a place where you feel that nurtured, like it will end because you will find something beyond what you have there. So there's a weird rhythm to it and kind of like an ecosystem that happens that I really like. And it's so bittersweet because like all the places that I've loved that have done that are gone. And it's like, I still think of them as fondly and I miss them as much as I did the day they ended. But it's also like, no, I'm glad in a way, you know, we moved beyond that. Now there's a new thing going on.
Mm.
Having run a venue and having run a show, it's like so significant because when a venue closes, it's kind of like, oh man, that's done. But I met this friend there. Mm-hmm. I played this show with this band that I really liked. I met this band here, this band there, blah blah blah. You know, Joel, I'll tell you. Here's a heart to heart for you. You know, bare my soul to you. One of my friends died recently, and the only time he ever saw me play was when he came to the show at the Mellow.
Oh my God.
So the only show I ever played for him. Yeah, the only show I ever played for him was when he came to the Mill with me. And it was a good thing because I couldn't talk him into coming to some club or something like that because he like drinks too much. And then I told him like, dude, you can't come drink at the show, but please come. And like, I'm sure he drank before and after, but like I totally brought him and told him, I'm like, no, they don't have alcohol there. You can't have alcohol there. It's my friend Joel's place. You can't do it. So, you know, that was like a big deal. So these things have ripples because I was always like for a minute I was like, God damn it, he never saw me play. This sucks. I can't stand it. And then I was like, he did see me play because you know, and I know it sucks to make it all about me, but at the same time, like I wrote songs for him, and about the life we lived together that I ended up kind of depicting in the songs I write. So like he hears stuff in my songs and goes, aha, I know that stuff. So we're sort of speaking a language to him in a way. Yeah. And I was writing the songs to communicate with people like him and to him very specifically at some points. So, hey, there's a story for you.
Thank you for sharing that.